having too much fun.
What's that?
It looks like you're having too much fun.
Well, I gotta occupy my time somewhere.
I hear it. Hey, what's how's it going? How are you? What you up to? Same old, same old. You're long nights, huh? Long days. Too busy. I did. If I sit up here, I have no, just I've already made some uniform rooms for my U4. Where'd you get that? I ordered it. Did you? Yeah, they're 13 or 16 inch. Kind of hard to find those. Yeah, my country. 50. They're real hard to find. But the engine has to run how I can send those wheels. That's right. I can find them. Well, I have to stay with the 16s because my car has run flat tires. I don't want to buy new tires for the car. Except keep these wheels. I found another set I like. 70s, really tracks. Right. But he told me I thought it was shame. The problem with a lot of people now want like plastic. Well, I had one friend who got a classic car. He had four wheels. He had to go to Cody. And he was telling me all that. I said, you know what? You're ugly. Yeah. We got over 100,000 on the car. He wanted to tell him that he did that. He did even his evening. He did black. Oh, really? Not Cody. He thought of it. He says it's too much work. He should just call him off. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:02, May 7, 2019, and I call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville. And the City Council seated is the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the CDS Housing as a successor. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Fox?
Here.
Councilmember Gomez?
Present.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez? Here. Mayor Garcia?
Here. At this time, can we have closed session announcements by our city attorney, please?
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. We had one item this evening, item A, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code 54957B, position of city manager. We did not complete that discussion, so we will be reconvening at the conclusion of the 6 o'clock meeting. To the extent there's any reportable action, we will report at the conclusion of the closed session.
Thank you. This evening, the invocation will be delivered by Pastor Dane Davis of First Christian Church, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Police Chief Rick Bassinger, so please stand.
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. It's an honor to lead us in this invocation, the first City Council meeting after the 2019 National Day of Prayer. It took place last Thursday. I want to thank all of you who came out to support the celebration here at Victorville City Hall. Sorry I wasn't able to join you. I was leading the effort over at Adelanto City Hall last Thursday. But the theme this year was love one another. Jesus said, "By this, all men will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." So that'll be the theme of my prayer tonight. Would you join me in prayer? Father, we thank you so much that by sending your Son, you demonstrated the ultimate act of love. Thank you, Father, for caring so much for us, no matter how much, Lord, we strayed from your commands, no matter how much, Lord, we have made decisions that have messed up your perfect creation. We thank you that you love us anyway. And we thank you, Lord, that you have demonstrated sacrifice for us. And we pray tonight as decisions are made that we would follow in your footsteps and make sacrifices as well, putting aside our personal desires and interests and sometimes even our personal opinions to serve the betterment of this city, to serve the more than 100,000 citizens of this city, and to be a light here in this Victor Valley for you. Thank you, Father, for loving us, and may we also demonstrate love one for another. When we disagree, when we have those times, Lord, where we may have different opinions, may we love one another, Lord, and do what's best for this city in a way that would honor you. I pray for our mayor. I pray for each of our city council members and each of our city staff. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please face the flag, hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we do have one proclamation, so I will come down and do the presentation. I'd like to invite Shanice Banks to come forward and join me, please.
Thank you. Yes. This way?
I'm proud to join the Victorville City Council in proclaiming May as Lupus Awareness Month in the city of Victorville. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that affects approximately 1.5 million Americans. This disease can affect any part of your body, which makes it unpredictable and difficult to diagnose. We encourage our community to learn more about lupus and to promote awareness, prevention, and early detection of this often misunderstood disease. And on behalf of the Victorville City Council, I present you with this proclamation. Thank you so very much. At this time, if there is an item on the agenda that might be of a conflict of interest to any council member, please identify it at this time. Do we have anything on the agenda this evening that may be a conflict? No? Okay, very well. Then we will continue. We do not have any appeal hearings this evening.
Madam Mayor? Yes, I do have one revision to the agenda.
I'm sorry, I did skip over that. Okay, we will have our city clerk present the agenda and any revisions to the agenda.
The City Council of the City of Victorville welcomes the public's participation in tonight's meeting. Anyone wishing to speak during public comment or on a particular item will be required to fill out a white speaker card located in the council chambers lobby and give it to the city clerk. The mayor will call upon each individual who has submitted a speaker card. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes per individual or less as deemed necessary by the mayor. All communications are to be addressed directly to the city council, not to the members of the audience. In accordance with state law, the city council may not discuss or take any action on any non-agenda items. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Any person or group who interferes with the conduct of a city council meeting by interrupting and or disrupting the meeting is subject to removal. A peace officer may be requested to assist with removal should any person or group fail to comply with an order of removal by the presiding officer. Any person or group who resists removal by a peace officer is subject to arrest and prosecution. There is one revision in front of you to item D5, resolution number 19-038. Those are all the items I have.
Thank you. And like I stated, we do not have any appeal hearings this evening. Therefore, we will move on to public hearings, and we will be starting with item B1. A public hearing to hear arguments for and against the granting of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Rail Transport, Inc. for a non-emergency medical transportation business. The recommendation is that the City Council adopt Resolution 19-023 at the close of the public hearing. At this time, is there a council member that has questions of staff? I will start with Ms. Gomez.
Item B1?
Yes.
None.
Anyone else?
I would like to say that in regards to this particular petition, it is wonderful because we do need the help where people need transportation to go to doctors and so forth. And so I think that I'm very glad that we have people who are concerned about the welfare of others. Thank you.
I have no questions of staff, Madam Mayor.
No questions.
Thank you. At this time, then, I open the public hearing. And I do not have any speaker cards. Therefore, I close the public hearing. And I request for a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 19-023.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cox. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item B2, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against the granting of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Triumph Medical Transport, Inc. for a non-emergency medical transportation business. The recommendation is that the City Council adopt resolution number 19-037 at the close of the public hearing. Are there any questions at this time, staff, by council members?
I have none of staff, Madam Mayor.
Anyone else? No? At this time, I open the public hearing, and I do not have any speaker cards. Therefore, I close the public hearing, and I need a motion and a second to adopt resolution 19-037.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cox. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to consent calendar, and any items C1 through C5 may be approved with one motion unless a council member requests an item to be put for further discussion. If there is none. Then I need a motion.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the City Council and any Board of Directors necessary approve the items on the consent agenda C1 through C5.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to written communications. And we start with item D1, initiating proceedings to fix, levy, and collect standby charges for water improvement district numbers 1 and 2. The recommendation is that the Victorville Water District Board of Directors approve resolutions number BWD 19-002 and BWD 19-003. Are there any questions of staff by council members? None? I do not have any speaker cards. Therefore, I request a motion and a second.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the Board of Directors of the Victorville Water District take action in accordance with the recommendations set forth on the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Councilmember Gomez voting no.
Now we move on to item D2, purchase agreement by and between the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority and HDSI LLC. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority Board of Directors adopt resolution number SCLAA 19-004, approving the purchase agreement by and between SCLAA and HDSI for the acquisition of assessors parcel number 0460-242-07 and 0460-242-08, and authorize the Assistant Executive Director to execute any and all transactional related documents to effectuate the acquisition.
Thank you. Council members, any questions of staff at this time? None? I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I need a motion and a second.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the Board of Directors for SCLAA take action in accordance with recommendations set forth on the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cox. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D3, CDBG grant contract award to Four Seasons Roofing Inc. for the Hook Community Center Roof Restoration Project. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the city council award a contract to Four Seasons Roofing in the amount of $130,700 for the Hook Mid and Lower Roof Restoration Project BM 19-085.
Thank you. Any council members have any questions of staff at this time? None? I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones. Any further questions? Or, I'm sorry, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D4, land exchange with San Bernardino County Flood Control District. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the city council approve a land exchange agreement with the San Bernardino County Flood Control District for property required for Amethyst Road and the Seneca Basin.
Thank you. Any questions of staff, of council members? None? I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I need a motion and a second.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the city council take action in accordance with the recommendations set forth on the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D5, project proposal to California Transportation Commission for local streets and roads funding. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the city council adopt resolution number 19-038, which approves the Industrial Boulevard, Silica Road, and Third Avenue Road improvement projects for submittal to the California Transportation Commission to be eligible to receive local street and road funds estimated at $2,186,952 for fiscal year 2019-2020, and authorize staff to submit the project to the CTC.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of staff?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. All right, on this one, I noticed that the CTC says that the monies can't be used for streets and roads operations and maintenance, but these projects for reconstruction. I know this is going to be in the budget for capital improvement, but what is the difference between street and road maintenance and pavement reconstruction?
I can give you a general answer, but the best answer will come from our city engineer, Brian Engler.
So we asked for that clarification because we wanted to know if we could use it for our public works, operations and maintenance, which would basically be the street crews that seal cracks, patch potholes, etc. And the answer was that we could use these funds only for specific projects that were designated. They had to have be a certain street with certain limits, and generally that would be a project that you would advertise and award, and a contractor would perform that work. So there was a distinction there, and so that's one of the requirements, is that this has to be spent on actual projects, not just routine maintenance.
So reconstruction is considered not routine, so
Well,
because it involves.
It could be any type of road rehabilitation. It could be even a slurry seal or an overlay or a reconstruction, but it just can't be used to fund the personnel salaries of our public works maintenance staff.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I need a motion and a second. Thank you.
Approval. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones to approve the revised resolution. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D6, amendment number 2, to agreement with Woodard and Current Miscellaneous Engineering and Consultant Services. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve amendment number 2 to the consultant professional services provider agreement with Woodward and Curran for miscellaneous engineering and consulting services for the industrial wastewater treatment plant in an amount of $25,000.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any questions of staff by council members?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, on this one, I understand, if you look at the page, it talks about fiscal impact on the agenda item. I understand that this is a different line item from the $925,000 we approved at our last meeting, but can you tell me what has been expended to date on this one? It seems like that $4.2 million number might be a little high.
That is correct. We've researched this, and the 4.267 effectively represents the budgeted amount as part of the original budget. Checking into the numbers today, we've actually spent down that amount to the order of $1.897 million, so roughly that difference is what, $2.4 million has been expended to date. So what we've done is to show of the unexpended amount, the $25,000 that this amendment covers, certainly there's available budget to cover the expense.
Okay, very good, thank you. Anyone else have questions? I do not have any speaker cards. Therefore, I need a motion in a second.
Madam Mayor, I move that we put the amendment number 2.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D7, discussion regarding public safety, traffic enforcement. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation. Any action is at the discretion of the City Council. This item was continued from the April 16, 2019 meeting because the public was not present to hear deliberations on the item and did not have an opportunity to speak on the item. It was moved by Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez, seconded by Councilmember Jones, to consider the purchase of technology for the Sheriff's Department during the budget process. Ms. Ramirez, do you have anything else, anything?
I would like to repeat that I've met with the individuals, the city manager, and also Captain Messenger and Lieutenant Wickham. And as I stated before, I was very concerned about the question of public safety. And when I met with them, I said, don't you need extra officers? And they said, really, our priority is right now to bring more technology, tools of technology to our service to be more effective. And because of the priority and because of the restriction and limitation of the budget, they felt that this would be the best use of money at this point in time. Therefore, I brought it before the board, the council, that our concern is to meet the needs of the department, particularly the saving of lives. And if it is a question that technology is needed in those departments at this point in time, then we should consider that in the main budget. I still feel, even though many people criticize me on this, but I do understand that and accept it, is that I still feel that we still need additional officers because of the number of the population is growing in such a rapid state. So that even though, Mr. President, I agree and I do approve that we should purchase additional tools and technology for effectiveness, but in the future I do believe that we need to look at the addition of officers because of the population growth and because of the readiness of many drivers that are driving through Nisqually and Bear Valley and so forth and so forth. So, that is my report. I did meet, and as I said, they convinced me that I should wait on the officers and put forth the approval of technology for a more effective department. And that is my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do have on speaker card, actually I have two. First one is Maggie Martin, following will be Joe Baghetti.
Good evening, Your Honor, Counsel. I would like to know specifically what this technology is that's being requested. Would it be possible to get a response from Captain Bessinger?
Well, the request was made by,
What is the technology?
Are you asking me, or are you asking the individuals who told me that they needed it? As I said to you, that the two individuals that remarked about that and requested it was Captain Messenger and Lieutenant Whitman. Those are the two individuals that you should speak to, because they're the ones who will be putting forth their priorities for the May budget.
So you don't know what those priorities are?
They told me the only thing that they mentioned at the point in time was that they would like to have the technology by which they could be able to read the license on cars in order to see whether the car was stolen or not, and whether there was a person, if they were, let's say, needed to be picked up because they were on a warrant. Other than that, they simply said to me that they would be making a list for the city council to consider in the May budget. And I did not question as to the technology. After all, they are the experts.
Thank you. That said, I think them having any and all technology that's available out there to them is a good thing. But I'm still going to tell you, and I'm going to hammer it every chance I get, and Ms. Ramirez already said it, we need more deputies on the street. This place is insane. I'm talking people who don't use their turn signals when they're turning right, turning left, running stop signs, running four-way stoplights, you name it. If there was any profit to be made in writing tickets in the city of Victorville, this city would be rich. I mean, really rich. But that said, you have, how else do I say it other than just directly? You have people up here that don't give two you-know-whats about the law. Right here, the law. They don't care. So it doesn't matter how many deputies you have on the street, how much technology you have. Until you can find an effective way, and I can't think of any, to suppress that element of society who does not care, who is a law unto themselves, who does not care about your safety, my safety, their safety, we're in trouble here, folks. Thanks.
Joe Baghetti.
Okay, speaking about this, as I go through this wonderful, safe city, which is ridiculous, at your crossing lights, streets, where pedestrians do cross, okay? You need to follow the federal standards of a street corner or a crossing place for the public. Barely any of these in Victorville are followed. The lines have to be painted, and they have to be painted the right color, reflectivity. The signs also at the right height, okay? Another place I live, Jim Cox, you paying attention? Down in Irvine, at crossing places, they have like lights across the road. They also have a beeping sound, okay? I don't see one crossing thing in this city that's enabled for the handicap because their sight or hearing is impaired. So you want to talk about technology, let's go to other cities, okay? This is not for safety that you're doing this. You want to hire other officers. This is to generate tickets. If you're interested in the safety and for this man to do another job rather than police, you need to really paint these signs definitive where people can see them, not only in the day, but the night. And if he wants, we could go around and I'll show you every street sign, or every school crossing sign, stop sign that's not right reflectivity, it's not the right height, and it doesn't follow any standards and as federal standards. Okay, so you really want to do this, you need to spend some money, not pick on people that are unable to see it. Because that's what you have. You have the worst case scenario and streets that are not maintained properly, not signed properly, and it's ridiculous. They could have bumps in the road. There's many, many things that could be done, okay? But you just want the full price so you can write tickets. So this technology, look at other cities that are safe. They have the flashing lights, okay? They have nice bright lines crossed all the way where the schools are, okay? Very visible, okay? In the day and even in the night, okay? And they should have flashing signs. School, yeah, you know, every school crossing should have a flashing light to make people aware, hey, there's a school crossing, not some sign that's twisted and bent and distorted and, you know, 8 feet high in the air where it should be 5 foot, I think. Is that correct, Rick? And so anyway, if you don't do this opens a class action suit. If you don't get your corners and streets right, then they can go back and anybody that you ever gave a ticket to, they can be refunded. Okay? How much money you got?
Thank you. Those are all the cards that I have. So at this time, I need a motion in a second.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if we need a motion at this point because we're going to have the budget discussion in 1 week. And I'm sure that this is going to be a topic of conversation. That was the original goal at our last meeting, was to make sure that we didn't miss it during the budget session, but it's only 1 week away.
Well, this is at the discretion of the council.
I do have, so I'm not interested in making a motion if anybody else is.
What I would like to ensure the record is 17 pages worth of emails from concerned residents. If anybody wants it, you just ask for my emails in regards to what we talked to today, and you'll be able to grab all these emails.
But unless anybody else wants to, I do have a comment that I would like to make. Mayor, thank you so much. So I think we all, at least from the discussion that we had at the last meeting, I think that we all concurred that we need to do something with regard to technology in our city for law enforcement. Our audience member, Mr. Figetti, I think made some very valid points that we should probably consider. And as to more boots on the ground, this is something that I know has been on the hearts of councils going back at least 8 years. So I think ever present on the mind of this council is the issue of combating crime, not just the crime associated with traffic, but more broadly. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Anyone else?
So, what's the resolution here?
My understanding is we're going to take this up at the budget time.
It's okay, be part of the discussion. So this will be continued, or will it be taken up during the?
Yeah, just part of the regular discussion.
All right, so there's no motion. So we will continue on to D8. Discussion regarding the development and adoption of a vision, mission, and goals for the city of Victorville. The recommendation, any action is at the discretion of the city council. Ms. Jones, would you like to present this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. And let me start by thanking my colleagues for allowing this item to be on the agenda. I'm confident that we all understand that strategic planning is key to the lasting success of any organization. By developing and adopting a vision, mission, and goals that represent business essentials along with the aspirations of stakeholders, we will set the stage for our becoming strong and vibrant for the long term. Well, there's no question that we make good decisions now, We can become a standout in the high desert if we were to establish and seek results from higher standards. There are many advantages to carving out a clear direction with measurables for our city, many of which I'm certain are readily apparent to this council. Among them are inspiring public confidence in leadership, streamlining the budget process, building a sustainable economy that attracts and preserves sensible revenue streams and creates needed resilience for recessionary cycles, ensuring that fiscal decisions align with established priorities, improving our ability to respond to the demands of a growing population, anticipating next steps in major projects, attracting and retaining business, and providing us with a valuable tool for conducting an objective evaluation of our city manager. Certainly, my good colleagues can add much to my short list, but I trust we can all appreciate the significance of laying out a guided path forward for Victorville. Madam Mayor, I'll hand this item back to you, but when you're ready to invite a motion, I'm prepared to offer one for consideration.
At this time, I do have one speaker card. Megan Martin.
Sorry.
Good evening again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It should be on.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is there supposed to be a button on or something? Okay.
Get closer to the mic.
No, I'm just, I'm really perplexed by this agenda item. Would or could somebody explain to me how we can be incorporated since 1962? I've never seen a vision, I've never seen a place of business, a hospital, a doctor's office, anywhere that doesn't have a mission statement or a vision statement hanging on its wall somewhere. Is this something we've never had? Or are we just looking to make it more up to speed?
Presently, we don't have one.
Presently we don't? Have we ever had one? We don't know? Alrighty. Yeah, that needs to be done, I guess. Thanks.
Thank you. That was the only speaker card that I had. It's up to the council, but actually, do you want to take it?
I would have to say that I agree with Deborah, because, generally speaking, vision, excuse me.
But it's appropriate to take a motion before we have comments.
Well, I want you to answer, Maggie, in the sense of why it is needed. Every 3 to 5 years, it becomes a guide to those in the organization as to what is going to be the mission, the goal, and the vision that we want to seek. This is automatically done in all major organizations. This is nothing new. So what Deborah has introduced is something that needs to be done because of the future of the city of Victorville. And I applaud her for bringing it to our attention. So in line with that, when we say about the vision is how do we see our future in this city that we want to have it grow positively, progressively, so that every human being would be able to achieve their dream. And this is the purpose of having a mission, a vision, and goals. It gives the actual steps that lead us to accomplish that. And so it is a positive picture. And it's a progressive picture for the city of Victorville. And I thank Deborah for bringing it to our attention. So I do agree with her motion. I simply wanted for you to understand that it is something that is always done in all the major organizations.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are you inviting a motion? Thank you. So I move that the council direct our city manager to seek out for our approval an organization that would work together not only with the city council and city manager, that's the governance team, but also with our community to develop for adoption a long-term vision, mission, and goals for the city of Victorville.
I second it.
Motion made by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez. Any further comments?
Yes. This item is very interesting. If you pull all of my emails more than four times I asked for a mission, vision statement. I actually drafted one. I'm taking a master's in my public administration. And we were challenged with a task to see if the city where I live in has a vision, mission, and statement. So I brought it up to the attention of the city manager many months ago. And I found out that we didn't have one as a city. We have one in individual departments. On many occasions, if you pull my emails, you will begin to see that the discussion is we don't have one. I tried to bring it up to par and it never went through. I'm glad we could get new council members who take the ideas and research those ideas and actually understand the need of a vision, mission statement. And thank you for bringing that up, because if I would have brought it up a third or fourth time here, it would not have passed. It takes you to bring something up so that other people take the credit. Because we know we need a vision, mission statement. And just like Ms. Martin stated, since 1962, we have not had a vision, mission statement for the city of Victorville. And that was one of the greatest concerns that I have. So I'll be submitting that to today's, so you can see the draft. The draft already has all these multiple points that we've talked to. Hopefully we can actually start off with something like that, where the work has been done over 7 weeks with my class, and we can probably start teasing something like that rather than throwing it out the window. But that's already in the works in terms of it's been brought to the attention of the city of Victorville and this particular city manager.
Madam Mayor, may I? So, thank you, Councilmember Gomez. I appreciate your kind words. I do want to make it clear, and this is something that I've done in the past, and so I knew that something like this would have to go before a council, the legislative body, for approval, and I'm just wondering if maybe your heart's desire in moving the city forward in this way was stalled a little bit because it was done through email and not brought directly to the council who would make such a decision. I don't have any special power to get anything done, no more than anybody else, so that's all I have. Thank you.
If I may comment, you will see the power you have in the next 2 years. It's been granted to you by the status quo, and I have been bringing this also to the city council. And as you will see today, there will be more policy and more red tape to stop the things that the community has brought to the attention, but that's nothing to say that it's not new. There is a special favoritism at this council and who can bring stuff and how it would move forward. So I suggest everyone, if you have something to bring, you know who to go to. But I will always put an email format so you can see how much we try to work as a team, but it takes a special voice to be able to get the rest of them to say yes.
Madam Mayor, I take exception to that representation of me.
So there was a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to, are we done with this item now? I'm asking the city clerk, please. Now we move on to item D9. Discussion regarding staff responses to misinformation. The recommendation is any action is at the discretion of the city council. Since Mr. Cox is the one that presented the item to, or requested the item to be agendized, I would like for you to present the item.
Madam Mayor and Council, I have indicated many times that people come to the microphone and make statements, which they have the right to do. This is not the opinion page of the daily press. And when misinformation is given, I think it's incumbent upon the city or the staff or the council members to correct the record. Tonight, for example, an individual stated that, I don't remember the exact wording, but how much money the city would make in regard to using technology for enforced police. The last time I checked, a ticket that's around $490, the city got $32. The city gets very small amount of tickets. They go to the county, they go to state, they go to schools. Very small amount goes to the cities. When the city had the red light cameras, we had person after person saying the city was getting rich and making millions on the red light camera, when in fact the city never made a penny on red light cameras. It was set up in such a way that it didn't come to the council. And so it makes the public a little suspect if they don't have the answer. For example, if the city council now enacts measures with the police department, there's going to be those who will believe that we're only doing it as a fundraiser or because we're raising funds for the city. Nothing could be further from the truth. And so I think to help the public understand the role of the city and what the city does, I really think it's incumbent on all of us to correct the record when needed to be. I don't mean to be argumentative with anyone. There's a lot of misinformation that people truly believe in. And I think just a simple statement, put it on the agenda or at the end of the meeting, because individuals here, I get calls all the time, is such and such true. I heard an individual speak to the council didn't say anything. It must be true. And that is our fault for not correcting the record, and I think the public can't make good decisions on any issue unless they have all the information and the right information. We need to make sure that we're cognizant of that, and when people make requests for information, we provide it. But we also let the public know what the request is and what the answer is. And the same thing when people come to the microphone and make a request, I think it's incumbent upon the council and staff for everyone's benefit, so that we have an informed public, and give the right answer or correct the record and give an answer after. And that's not to say individuals are making statements on purpose. I know a lot of people believe the things that they say, but nevertheless, we need the public support. The way that we get the public support is to be credible in the things we do and say, so the public knows that we're acting on their behalf. And we can do that by helping get the information to them. One way that we're getting information to the public is in the water bill. Tremendous amount of information goes out every month on the additional services that the city provides. So I like that. I think that's good. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. Staff has been doing that a long time. Just like the city council to consider this item for the benefit of the general public.
Mr. Cox, you just heard me, sir. That's not what I said.
I would affirm on what Mr. Cox had said, Councilman Cox has said, because too many times the misinformation is believed rather than the truth. And we are working hard to do what is right for everyone. Even though many people may not believe that, but I do believe that when there is the misinformation, it should actually be put on the city website as a correction as to something that has been said at our city council meeting, because it has to be answered rapidly and quickly so that people don't believe the lie rather than not know the truth. So I do believe that we need to correct it, and one of the manners that we can correct it is by putting it on the city website as corrections or corrections to be made regarding a council meeting. It has to be somewhere so people understand that the truth is still the truth, and it stands on its own merit. But when it's misinformation, it's difficult for people if you don't see the truth. So I would hope that we can do something about it.
Madam Mayor, I have a couple of questions for staff, if I might. Thank you. I guess my first question is, has to do with the legalities involved in potentially doing something like this. I know that the Brown Act is very protective of the constitutional rights to free speech, and I certainly wouldn't want to in any way do anything that's going to hinder people from feeling free to come up and speak without feeling at a later time that they're ridiculed, because sometimes people do have honest misunderstandings about how the business of a city works, and so sometimes what might be said might just really be said out of a lack of knowledge and said innocently. Sometimes I think the opposite is true, where things are, there are statements that are deliberately manufactured to present things in a bad light. But having said that, I guess I have to ask, we have a duty to protect our city and making sure that correct information is disseminated, but where do we set that bar so that we're respecting and not hindering free speech, and yet making sure that we have correct information out? Where do we set that bar? we can't go chasing and correcting every little thing. That's just not something that's doable. We would be doing that far too often. It wouldn't be a good use of our resources. How can we legitimately handle which ones we address, which ones we don't?
I have asked myself the same questions, which is why I wanted this on the agenda for the council to discuss. The end result may be full information on items or nothing at all, or someplace in between. But when I get calls, when I go to public meetings or community meetings and people ask me questions, and I give them the answer as I understand it, or I tell them how to get the answer if I don't know it. The question is, well, I heard that, or I read that, or I saw this on the webpage, and if you don't respond, you think it's true. Now, the reason I said letter to the editor, I realize those are opinions and people are entitled to them. There's no reason for the city to respond to any of them because I think that is going too far. But here in this meeting, when people make an assumption to the 5 elected officials that represent this whole community, and we don't respond, I think some people wonder, well, why didn't they respond?
It appears as tacit assent. Right.
Right? Yes. And so that's why I wanted to discuss by the council. Welcome. All input, and I just thought that if part of our job is to represent the public and keep them informed, then we have an obligation to make sure that they get the right answers.
I think a possible solution to that, a lot of people here are new, they come for the first time, they stay 10, 20 minutes, so they come in later. A lot of people don't know that they can actually get the agenda, read it for themselves. The many pages, they just get like a table of content out there. I think the outreach that we're trying to do is above and beyond trying to clarify what potentially is implicit bias of information that could potentially be narrated as non-factual based on an opinion with a seal. And we can see that clearly with the city of Dallas a couple of years before corruption was revealed with the legality. And so what that does is it's like trying to put a peg square into a circle. If our intent as a city council is to protect and invite the community to be more involved, why aren't we having a sign-in sheet for email and having our staff add those automatic emails for these individuals to catch up on all these related information? They can read for themselves, make those assertions, but to call 1, 2, or 3 council members, all of us, without exception in humanity, have a special bias. We don't have the facts. We don't have what we would consider this is true or this is not true. We have end results with experiences that create notions of what have resulted in our experiences, and we want to share with someone else these ideologies. And so it's not necessary to tag or pinpoint one individual and say you're wrong because of this, and then cover it with a seal and say that the backing of the seal is factual, because all of us are humans. We create those errors, we make those errors and tailor them and cover them and code them, whether you're a legal attorney, whether you're a city clerk, you're a council member, of someone in Congress. Just because we have a title does not mean that we are infallible. We are. And my approach that I believe is to start giving the power back to the people by at least simply having a sign-out sheet out there. And then those emails that get sorted out, all of them automatically get put, and they can default by saying, you know what, I don't want to receive these emails for the agendas anymore. But to come to 1 or 2 council members and say this is fact, I think there is no need for anyone to say that we are right and you are wrong, or you need to be fed certain information. So I appreciate just the fact that we can have this discussion, but this is beyond, I think, what we would try to be doing. Mrs. Jones does have a point. To what point do we call something what it is and something what is not? Who do we target? Why? And it's like a really slippery slope that I'm starting to see here.
Madam Mayor, if I might, perhaps this helps the council in terms of what staff has been doing and how staff has been approaching communications altogether. And what I would like to tell you is I believe certainly over the last year we have improved our communications. I won't tell you it's perfect, I think we're making daily continued improvement in increasing our communications with the community. Last September-ish, the management team actually met, and over a series of meetings with the management leadership team, we established goals for the organization, and among them, one of them is to reduce the public perception. And I think that touches on, and perhaps lends to this conversation, in that the public perception as we see it, there's generally a large negative public perception depending upon the type of communication portal you rely on for your information. And so one of the things that we've identified and we've actually worked to try to improve is making our organization more accessible and more responsive. I can tell you, I believe, certainly over my career, we're probably more responsive today than we have ever been. Certainly can improve on that. And that involves a structure where we've set up internally a communications team that really rallies around the leadership of your PIO, your public information officer, to where all of the leadership members, all your division heads, all your department heads actually work directly with her as she leads that effort. And we're either providing her with information or we're responding directly to the community. We've also taken it upon ourselves to be much more accessible to the community. So even for the members of this audience, I would encourage, whatever the issue might be, if there's a building-related issue or a code-related issue, we've encouraged a cultural change internally, and we've been encouraging, and we continue to encourage it, that we really are trying to promote compliance. We're trying to create a better sense of why we do things and what regulations are, so that the public has a better understanding of it. And we invite everybody in the public to reach out, whether it's via email or instant messenger or whatever the communication method is. We have taken upon ourselves to be a leader in prioritizing communication back to the public, whatever the issue might be. Now, there's certainly going to be cases where we're sharing a response that maybe isn't appreciated or liked because they're not getting the answer they want. But we've done that, and we've also set up mechanisms such as the website. We've made it easier, if you will, to embrace the complaint, which is a concept that we've all embraced internally, to embrace the complaint, to try to make our service better to the community. But then going back to the communication side and trying to correct the errors that were out there, and new with how we handle social media. One thing we put a lot of effort into is harnessing all of our social media outlets to where we have one recognized portal, and different than in the past, we're much more active in actually responding to some of those posts. We take a leadership role in posting the issues that involve the city. We certainly monitor what we hear here, and if we're sensing that there's an issue that continues to come up and maybe we need to address it, especially as it relates to illegal dumping or what have you, then we create a social post and create a discussion out there amongst the audiences. And on top of it, instead of just posting it, as far as to be participatory, we can't respond to everything because in some cases, responding to everything invites argument and a negative conversation. But what we do attempt to do is be constructive in how we respond, to make sure our responses are hitting the facts about what is going on out there. To the extent, for example, there's op-ed, and it hasn't happened recently, but if there's an op-ed piece out there that's just flatly wrong or potentially presents a concern, liability, confusion, we would respond to those kinds of things. And I'd like to say it's really kind of case by case, but we are, as an organization, taking altogether communication much more seriously, to the point where, as an example, and we've talked about it lightly with you, in some of our outreach efforts in the upcoming fiscal year. You know, we have an event, two of them in the summertime, that we're actually calling community pop-ups, where we're actually going to go into the neighborhoods. The leadership team is actually going to be a part of this effort, where we're going to have activities, everything from beanbag toss to Connect Four to whatever, picnic games that we all enjoy, to the point where we're actually going to close it out with a movie in the park kind of thing. And the objective there is obviously to get the community together, but also to have the leadership and members of the staff accessible to the public, so we could be firsthand available to answer whatever question or address whatever concern they might have. And the thought process there is, now that we've got this communication team rallied around the public information officer, we can all be accessible believing that if we're the first line of communication as to the question or the issue, we believe generally that people will believe our feedback as opposed to perhaps that banter that continues to go back and forth on social media that may be unqualified in how it's being presented.
Thank you. So, but Madam Mayor, I'm still at a place where I'm questioning, because we do have people that come up to the podium and say things that are actually incorrect. I'm not talking about matters of opinion, I'm talking about data that is not correct. And so is that where we draw the line? If it's factual data, nothing that's subjective that we might respond to, or is it issues, or is it an issue that puts us in a position of liability? I mean, where I believe that we need to do something more than what we're doing. I'm just not sure how we identify what we address.
And if I might, I think I can speak to that. There are many times where we hear comments and just actually incorrect or creates a sense of confusion. You get that weird silent moment when there's no response. Staff has taken it upon itself to at least communicate to the council, to share with the council what the facts are, and certainly in cases where the council requests us to reach out directly to the speaker, we do that as well, either personally or in writing. We can take it a little bit further, if you will, and just be much more forward in either putting something in writing, not only to the council, but also to the speaker, or reach out directly to try to address that. The difference, though, unfortunately, is that it's more on a one-on-one private, which I think is our preferred casual, because we don't necessarily want to try to incite a larger discussion or potential argument. But we can probably take that next step to be a little bit more assertive in correcting those statements as we hear them, not only with the council, but then also with the speakers.
I agree with what has been said. Certainly, I think it would be wrong to be confrontational for the individuals who make a statement. But I'm concerned about the people who hear it. I think we can correct it without stating who made the statement. It doesn't have to be done at the same time. But if it's there, it's a problem in the community. For example, for months, I heard that the city had canceled all traffic enforcement. And I was saying, oh yeah? Not so. It's not so at all. If you believe that, when you get a ticket, these tickets are huge. The city is doing much better with the information it's putting out. I just want to have the public be aware of the facts, if we possibly can. We had some young kids from Atlanta that came, I don't know why they came here, but there's nothing to do. And I wanted to immediately get our record park brochure, give each one of them, because it's full of things for young people to do. And just things like that. They believe it. But we have to make sure that we keep the public. If we want the citizens to be proud of the city, we've got to do things that make them proud. We've got to keep them informed, and they've got to have confidence that they can call the city when they hear these things, that they can call the manager or the PIO, that there's a number to call. They can say, I keep hearing these things, what in fact is true. And that can be done without taking any negative position against anyone who may have said it or believed it. It's just a matter of getting the data, the facts before the public. That's the only reason that I wanted this brought up.
Well, I'm wondering if that might be a possibility then, if we advertise a contact name and number to call if they have questions about something they heard on the agenda and want to know whether it's factual, that there's a number they can call and get the information. And again, I don't want to get, go down the road of dealing with the subjective, but something that's statistically incorrect or something that's.
Well, I think it's important. I'm sorry to take some time. What really makes this, for me personally, makes it important is because I hear TV and I don't have a clue what's going on with the federal government. I don't have a clue what the facts are anymore. I don't have a clue who's distorting information on purpose or they really believe it. But I dare say that you can't possibly be informed about almost anything right now. I don't want the city to ever get in that position where we divide up on who we like and don't like, or what we believe and don't believe, and then have talking heads to further incite the crowds. I want to just the opposite. Very calmly, very forward, keep the public informed, make sure that they know that they can call a central number or somebody that they can get the answer, or put it up somehow. That's it. I really get concerned with the number of people that talk to me a week later, 2 weeks later, or a month later. Say, well, I heard this person say, is that true? Well, no, not really. And then you go through the procedure, or I have to call the city manager or one of the assistant managers. We have no reason not to put the information out. But how exactly to do it, I think that's a council decision, if they want to do it at all. It's a collective decision after we have a good discussion and think through it.
Well, there's a few things that I would like to address that have just been stated. As local municipal officials that legislate law or ordinances that affect 130,000 people in the 72 square roughly area, we have the power of the electorate with 3 votes to be able to create things or items or resources or anything that can benefit the general community. We have membership with the League of California Cities, which means we shouldn't be ignorant of what's happening not only at the federal, state, or with our senators, but what's happening right around our cities. So we shouldn't be ignorant about what's happening. Because as elected officials, we are receiving federal funding, we are receiving state funding, and we're bounded by a lot of these state laws, even though we're a charter. So, and we have to be attending these city-state arrowhead meetings that incorporate all the county. So to call something ignorant of what's happening at the further levels, and we're elected officials, that really concerns me. Because being here, I even know, after being 2 years here, that we have that knowledge base, and we have people who represent us at the Congressional District 8, where we can pick up the phone and have direct access to our congressmen. The same thing with our assembly and our Senate, J.O. Bernalty and Scott Wilk. Direct access for you. That's why you elect us. That's the power that you have granted each one of us. Something else I'd like to be very explicit about is how we provide information to our community. That is so essential. It is not just saying we do this, this, and this, because if we were to take a survey, how many of you are being reached these particular ways? Does everyone in this community have these means of receiving the information? And if not, what are the gaps that we're missing with certain categorical individuals that just can't have that information, whether it's lack of Wi-Fi or lack of understanding or the general awareness of not knowing how a city functions and what we can garner for you. The other thing is I've expressed, there's this thing called Go Request. Many cities, in particular the city of San Bernardino, have this application. When you download this app with your smartphone, you can tell us with a picture and give your concern, and immediately it goes to that department. And if that is not addressed, as a council member, I can look and see what has been addressed. Any one of us would be able to see it and say, you know what, this person addressed this issue, it's been 6 months, or it was 2 weeks, and we can go in and on your behalf, tell the department, how long is it going to take? We have someone waiting on this. It's been 6 months. It's been 7 months. We have the authority. The council has not wanted to prove anything of this nature. The other thing is the departmental awareness for public and how our community is affected. In the beginning, because I was new and I didn't really know the inner functions of the city, I started to sit with a department to get within 4 hours how that department works. And I sat down with different individuals in one department. And I said, this is what I would like to see for our city residents to have so that they can sit and understand what each and every department does. Our purchasing, our communities department, every department, because it's not incumbent upon me to know everything, but I need to know enough to tell them this is how this is the inner workings. Plus, we're having a workshop every 2 months, and every department changes. And if you're interested in the development department, we're having a meeting here there. It was to start off, and that first class was given to me. What ended up happening, I don't know, that's no longer going to be offered, and it hasn't. This is something that we advocate for you on your behalf. The other thing is the issue of fear in administration. A lot of people fear administration. If they're not going to get the assistance.
Orders of the day.
So this was the case
So,
with Monday
going for the
meetings
orders of the
that we
day,
had
to
staff fully disclose anyone, and everyone
back
got
to the
back
actual
to
agenda item, which
I'm sorry,
is,
but why would you be
staff
doing that?
responses
You're
to
just showing,
misinformation.
you're just
I'm
showing,
calling for the orders of the day.
You're
At this
showing-
point, I have the floor.
right, you're showing that you can speak and so can Cox.
While that information is very helpful and useful, it's not germane to the actual agenda item, which is dealing with staff responses to misinformation that's brought forward by the public.
And how would
So
that be
I would encourage
contextualized?
the mayor to bring us back to the agenda item.
We are on the agenda item. Just because you opine differently doesn't mean that it's not the same.
I opine in the common interpretation of the agenda.
Your
item.
personal interpretation is what you're giving.
In the common reading of it.
That's what I'm discussing. How do you resolve these issues? Just because you disagree doesn't mean it's inaccurate.
Call for the orders of the day.
May it be appropriate to make a ruling on the request for the orders of the day, whether or not the councilperson is deviating from the agenda item?
How am I deviating from the agenda? Telling them these are the issues that we can bring forth? Like workshops? For misinformation?
Deviating from the actual item. That's why I called for the agenda.
Well, how am I deviating?
Should we take a vote to have us, to terminate the discussion? We should make a motion to terminate that particular discussion.
No, what he's saying is we're not going to converse, neither you nor anybody else.
He's talking.
Yeah, and so
First,
is
it would be
I.
appropriate to entertain a motion regarding the question of the order of the discussion. So I would request a motion to terminate that discussion.
Excuse me. I want to hear what she has to say. I'm the public, and I would like to hear what she has to say.
Sir, you're interrupting, please. It's not up to you. So, I'm sorry, can you repeat the motion?
You wanted to have orders of the day in order to bring the discussion back to the specific agenda
The
item.
agenda item, and just to preface that a little, the information being put forward is interesting. My concern is transparency laws and keeping ourselves in compliance with the Brown Act. The public was not aware of discussions that are external to the actual agenda item.
Which discussions?
The ones that Councilmember Gomez has been making.
Yeah, can you name them so I understand which one they are?
I think we should have a motion. Do we have a second on it?
I'll second it.
Motion by Mayor Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion carries with Councilmember Gomez voting no.
So Mayor Garcia, back to the discussion of the agenda item. I'm not sure if anybody's going to make any direction at this point, but again, the question is being able to respond to false and misleading statements. If I might make some comments?
Yes.
I agree, there are some First Amendment concerns. I think hopefully those could be addressed by making any responses anonymous in terms of you don't have to say who made the comment. If it's the preference, I would like to look into that issue a little further and work with the city manager and maybe make some proposals as to a format in which to address the statements so that we can define that bar that you're concerned about as to what qualifies as something that needs to be responded to versus something that does not need to be responded to, and see if there are any constitutional prohibitions on the way we approach that. But I would think to some extent you can protect that to the extent that, somebody makes a statement, you don't mention who made that statement. You just say a statement was made at such and such a meeting. These are the facts, and here's the information that the person could go to look at to check the facts. Something along those lines. I would believe it's probably appropriate, but I would like if it pleases the council to go do a little bit further research so we don't adopt a policy that doesn't withstand the challenge.
Well, as a point of order, I have stated on so many occasions how you are very suggestive. And then the next person that needs to make that motion would be Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones. Yeah, that was my point of order.
That's fine. Okay, I'll call a point of order here. Mr. Cox, do you have a suggestion since you are the one that actually?
The leader needs to rule. Go ahead, Mr. Cox. You're welcome.
Look,
Decorum, you're the chair. You need to set role modeling.
this is a warning.
Yeah, right, give it to us in writing.
Oh, when a point of order is made. Please take your seats. We are ready to start again. Please take your seats. We will be continuing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You asked if I had any further comments.
I'm sorry, may I have the floor for just one moment? And then I'll pass it off to you, if that's all right with you, Councilmember Fox. Because I am feeling increasingly like we're getting out of sync in what we're trying to accomplish here. So with regard to a point of order or any privileged motion, point of order is done for a specific person, and it's meant to deal with a breach in policy or procedure. So typically the course of this is a council member can at any point say point of order. You can interrupt the discussion to say point of order. At that point, there's quiet by the moving council member. The mayor typically would say, state your point. The council member that has the objection or that stated the point of order is then required to state concisely the breach to policy and procedure. It's not a full discussion, it's a statement of the breach that occurred. Then there's quiet. The mayor then rules on whether the point of order is well taken. If it's well taken, it's sustained, and then whatever correction is needed is made. If it's not well taken, then it doesn't fly. That council member that made the point of order is free to appeal the chair's decision, at which point it would go to a vote of the council. That's what the course should be. And then I yield the floor.
The purpose was to make sure that we put out as much information as possible so the public is informed. That's it. I believe what I've heard is the council agrees. If they do, then that's simply a policy position of the council, and staff has to come up with the ways to do that. And submit it back to the city council if there's any question about whether or not there's something offensive about it or maybe a violation of some law. That's it. It's just, I want the public to be informed. We're doing a good job. We need to do a better job.
And I'd like to say that Councilmember Jones, you were out of order by trying to explain what you did, because that was not contextualized in the misinformation. So this is a double standard. You want to call me on it, but you do the same thing. If you want, during the item where we can add an agenda item, you can feel free to add that explanation, but I don't think you have any authority, even if the chair were to give it to you, because that's decontextualized. And if I have decontextualized something in my order of rendering, and I need to take it, you must do the same by being a role model, and then I will accept it. But you didn't do that.
I did exactly that, and I had the floor from the mayor to make that explanation. Thank you.
No, that was not about misinformation.
We're not order now. Discussion. So, Jim,
The action is up to council, and I simply move that we make every effort that to inform the public when there's misinformation abounding, that we try to correct it, and that we direct the staff to come up with a methodology to do that without offending.
is that a motion?
That's a motion.
So I'll second that with the caveat that we have our city attorney take a look at it as well.
That is a very vague motion that you're providing. I think the city attorney suggested that he first look into the Constitution and the rights. And it's not that we have the authority to say whatever is right or wrong.
We have a motion.
No, I'm talking about the misinformation.
Point of order, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
I have the position of building comments, and this is some of the things that we continuously go over and miss, and I'm sure it's not intentional again, but I'm going to say there's a portion where we comment, and by the way, we should have had 3 minutes each. Was anybody taking minutes for 3 minutes? So there is not.
Discussion beginning on this, when council brings the agenda item, We're not timing that.
Okay, so that's not.
It's a discussion.
Okay, so that's something that's implemented in, because I can look at patterns in the past that was
When
different.
a staff member presents, there's no time limit, so that's how it's being treated. When a council member presents, there's no time limit.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So does that mean that we now no longer have comments under that?
No, because the discussion already happened.
Okay, and how did we actually end it? Is there a way to? Right.
Yeah, it should be a short period of time for questions on the motion in a second, and we can have another revote on that motion. The motion is Mr. Costa's motion to have staff prepare responses to work with city staff and the city attorney to see what we can come up with in terms of a methodology to be responsive to incorrect statements.
Correct.
So this will be appropriate now for council member discussion on that motion and second.
Okay, so the way we work this system, I know the audience has no clue what we're doing, because I'm telling you up here, it's not, I think we're making up some rules and it just makes it difficult. When someone makes the motion, like Mr. Cox makes the motion, have we already ended discussion?
Councilmember
because we
Gomez,
made
the
that?
discussion should be related to the motion and the second that's on it.
So what I'm asking right now about he making the motion, you're telling me is not relevant?
We're talking about procedural issues, not the actual motion, which is to direct staff to come up with a methodology to respond to incorrect statements. That's what the discussion should be about.
So what you're telling, you're limiting me to think for myself and say what is happening?
No, I'm trying to redirect you to the agenda item, to the motion that's before the council, and that's what the discussion should refer to, that motion.
So, like I was saying, this motion is very vague. It doesn't say much but misinformation. What is constituted as misinformation? And who will have the requirements of what this misinformation is? We have a motion and a second, and none of the four council members can respond. Then what are we approving if it's a misinformation?
Well, may I chime in there? So that's the whole point. It is for staff to take a look at it and come up with a methodology and making sure that we're operating under
Compliance with the law.
confines of the law.
So then staff is going to do the legal research?
Yes.
Is that what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So staff includes city attorney and then other staff members. We don't know who because there was no direction, so they on their own are going to assume who?
A motion like that would go to the city manager, and you included the city attorney, so those are the two people responsible.
In that motion, I didn't hear these two authority figures. I just heard administration, misinformation, come up with a role, and I'm assuming implicit bring it back. Is that what's happening?
May I answer? We don't give direction to anyone except the city attorney and the city.
Right.
We don't require the city, we set the policy, the manager carries it out, he submits it back, we don't like it, we amend it, change it, or send it back. But in regard to misinformation, you want it to be specific, that would be sending here and going back and finding 10, 20, 30, 100 instances of misinformation. It's vague purposely. We know when people make statements that are simply untrue.
We do?
Sure, any reasonable person does.
Can you put as an example
I'm
today?
not going to
There's
sit
only
here and
two
argue with
speakers.
you.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm asking a question that's legitimate. We have a discussion, and when someone doesn't agree with what I'm saying, the devil's ears go up.
I've heard now there's a motion to call for the vote, so we should now have a vote on the motion. Is there a second to the call for the question?
Yes.
So that is not a
All the
debatable,
questions to end debate.
and that is not a debatable motion, so.
Correct.
So what constitutes
Motion
a
by
debatable
Councilmember
motion?
Cox, second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Councilmember Gomez voting no.
And I forgot to,
I still need to
so,
vote.
yeah, so that just ended the discussion, now we're going to vote.
But now I call for the vote on the original motion second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Cox and a second by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can you repeat that motion?
That was the original motion.
Is that what Cox said, the original motion, someone seconded? I'm asking,
Yes,
you can
that is
repeat the question.
That was the original motion to have staff and the city attorney come back with recommendations on a way to respond to incorrect statements.
Misstate, misinformation.
Correct.
Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Councilmember Gomez voting no.
Now I come up to item D10. Discussion regarding a visible public timer. Recommendation, any action is at the discretion of the city council. Councilmember Gomez, you present this item since you were the one that agendized it.
No, I'm not going to be relying on what is decontextualized. This is how I think, please don't challenge my way of thinking, Mrs. Jones particularly. So, the timer, we get timed on things, and all of a sudden, if it's discussion, there is no timer. Or there is, or there isn't. Some people get more time, others don't. The public don't even know anymore. We used to have this little blinker that used to tell us, and it went out of style, out of session. Individuals need to know our time. I think when we start, there's a timer up there that says we're going to start in 55 seconds or 5 minutes. And I think it's only plausible for transparency, whatever implicit bias or non-implicit bias the word timing would have. But I think it would be a legitimate option to have something that shows a timer if we already have that in place. I've seen it. I don't know why we don't implement it. We need more accountability, and I think the only accountable people up here are because you out there watching through YouTube are going to keep us accountable. We have so much discussion about timing. We get sidetracked, we could go a little over, and I don't expect the person looking at the time to miss the timing. So the reason why this was approved by the majority of the council is perhaps we just want to discuss it. I know I wanted to discuss it because timing is important. We got to go to work early, it's all about time. We get paid, it's all about time. We're here, it's all about time. So I think timing is really important for you guys, your eyes. And you can call it and see it. And then if you violate it, we violated it already, so we're the role model for you. So let's everybody be accountable for this timing thing that we can possibly bring up.
I do have, I have one card here, but it doesn't have a name. I don't know who that was.
It's me.
I put one in too.
I have one without a name for D10. And then I have Joe Spaghetti.
That must be mine.
Maggie, you go first.
Richard?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'm timing it.
Now, was this yours? I don't have a name.
Yeah, that's me. Sure. I didn't have my glasses on. Oh, criminy. Oh my God, Circus Blanca. I just want to have one meeting before 2020 that it doesn't go off track like this. That said, I do agree. I've been coming to these meetings a long time, and we used to have, I don't remember if it was up there like Ms. Gomez said, or something on a timer over here, but I do remember a timer, and I do agree that, because I've noticed I've tried to read a one-paged typewritten paper and never got through it, and that somebody else is speaking on for way longer than it took me to read. I read pretty fast. 1 page, 1.5 pages of typewritten material. So she has been asking for that for a long time. I think it's a totally reasonable request. So I'm asking that you give that due consideration. Thank you.
Joe Spaghetti.
So anyway, I feel like I'm first grade, that you have to have a discussion to put the clock on the table. I've asked for this a long time. I know I've been cut short in the 3 minutes and cheated. And you know what? Any king in the land, if somebody is talking and they are making a good point and they need more than a few minutes, a king would always have time to listen. And if there's not that many people clogging up, the few extra minutes of time should be allowed. If not, they should have said, okay, let's go sit out front and have a little discussion and stuff, because they should get their idea across. Maybe they have a good idea, and I'll bring that up in my next open forum, but you're cutting people off, okay? You know, it's like the Gestapo clock. You know, stop and say, what's the problem of hearing what somebody has to say? That person may change your life. That person may plant a seed in somebody. That person may have a great idea. But the arrogance of certain people here cut people off. They make stuff up, they lie, and they don't want to hear it. If they don't want to hear it, it has no interest to them, off with your head. This is not a way a leader should represent their people and their staff. This is very poor, very, very poor leadership. Everybody should have the chance to say what they have to say. Even myself in the hospital, and if something bad is going on, which happens a lot, even if the janitor makes a comment, I will listen. Because you never know where a great idea may come from. I could just say, get that guy out of here. What the heck does he know? But you never know. And it's called bad leadership. Extremely bad leadership. It's disgusting. You don't get along, you're very hostile.
You have 30 seconds.
So when's it going to stop? It's embarrassing. It really is. You're one of the worst cities in the state of California. The leadership is bad. You need to step down or change. I'm disgusted. Put the clock up. It's common sense.
I do not have any other cards. Therefore, do you make a motion on this, or is it at the discretion of council?
This is, Councilman Gomez's item. She wants to make a motion. Well, maybe. Yeah, and wait, there's a motion. Go ahead.
Anyone is free to make that motion. It's not mine. It's ours.
Will you please make a motion so we can continue with the second discussion?
I'll make a motion, that we move forward to having a clock that the audience can see when they're addressing the council, that's running so that they know when their time is up or how much time they have left in the 3 minutes. Assuming that that can be done without a great deal of expense and fanfare. If it goes into problems, then I request that staff comes back with the reason why and we discuss it during the budget. Otherwise, I think it's a good idea. We should.
Motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Gomez. Any further comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, yeah. So I just want to make sure that this timer is going to be used specifically for the comment periods.
That's the public comment period, is that correct?
That's what they did.
Is that correct?
The motion made by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Gomez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to item 11. Review and recommendations for revisions to the current city council policy manual. The recommendation, any action is at the discretion of the city council. And I will ask Councilmember Jones to present the item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and again, thank you, my colleagues, for allowing this matter to be placed on the agenda. So in early October of 2017, this city council adopted by resolution its policy and procedures manual to make explicit its norms and protocols rather than relying on implicit rules and tradition as had been done historically. One review and revision occurred since the original adoption, and that was in September 2018. When any organization first institutes formal policy and procedure, it's common for there to be a number of brush-ups in fairly short order as part of a continued effort to fine-tune practices and make conducting business more effective and efficient. It's been 8 months since the last review, and we have 2 council members that have now served for a majority of that period. I believe this would be a good time for a review of our policy and procedures manual. Madam Mayor, I'll hand it back to you, but I'm prepared to make a motion when you invite one.
Thank you.
So with this policy is very interesting because I talk to the community all the time and they call it bureaucratic tape. And I said to myself, yeah, you know why they're doing it? Because I'm the outspoken one. So anytime they find anything that could potentially shut one of the council members, they're very strategic as to continuing the modification. So we continue to create what we so much disdain, which is more government, upon policy, because this policy doesn't just affect council, it affects the general public. So it starts to intervene in what is your freedom, and when we put every single time the modification of a policy, we're trying to choke you out and imprison you mentally. So when you come in here, remember, we are the judges, and you must, as a subordinate, obey. To continue to have these modifications, I think that's what it tells our community. It's not inviting, it's not open-ended, and it takes risk for anybody that would like to challenge it. Despite that being the fact, it's going to be clear that they are going to continue to look for what to strap and hold down with these policies. Very few people give any opportunity to say, you know what, why don't we modify this or that? Recently we had someone that always got a proclamation for bikes. And because of these rulings, this particular person who gives back to the community was in shock that he wasn't able to get a proclamation where he had year upon year upon year. So I think what we're doing is we're hampering and we're really cutting the throats of a lot of the community to really shaft them right where they're at. And this is not fair. You think you do it to a council member or a minority, you're not. You're affecting the community. I can be here today, gone tomorrow, and back the next. I think we're looking with the eyes to continue to create that bureaucratic tape. And we're not empowered to do that. We're empowered to help the people become better. This is not just council policy, it's also for our community. So remember that whenever you're tailoring anything against the community.
Do you have any, I do not have any speaker cards, so if you have any recommendations at this time.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that the council direct our city manager to work cooperatively with our city attorney to review and make recommendations for revisions as may be necessary to our policy and procedures manual.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cox. Any further comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Thank you. So, just to be very clear, policy and procedures manual it's a given in any organization. It's not meant to exclude anyone. In fact, the purpose of a policy and procedures manual is to make business more efficient and more effective, and that benefits everyone. Any assertions to the contrary are just simply absurd. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Motion was made by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Cox. All those in favor?
Well, I'm going to give a comment too. It's interesting. Why, if council sees it so important to modify, you throw it back to administration? Why don't you put something on the agenda, find what you want? Don't hide behind administration. Don't hide behind administration. It's a given. 2017. Hello, we've been here since 1962. population to understand that we need something like this? No, people are not stupid, not ignorant. We can talk about policy and what's needed, but when we talk about contracts, oh, it's 5 years, not 1 year. That's typical out in the world. And this is about our employees that we talk about, you know? But when we talk about these kind of policies, oh, we need to be checking every month because that's only due diligence. But when we talk about other contracts, no, let's extend it 10, 20 years, 5 years, because that's the commonality. That's the hypocrisy that I see behind closed doors that you guys can't see yet, but you're smart enough. Because it's not hidden, it's in our voice and in our behaviors. So keep watching, keep questioning us, and pull all our emails out. A lot will be revealed with our emails. That's your information. So no, I don't disagree, but I do disagree. The hypocrisy is what I disagree. If it was put forth evenly all the time, I would be voting for this myself. But why hide against the backs of administration? Why don't we come up with those policies if we're the ones that are concerned? We see them, we know what they are, we can call them out, but no, we want to hide behind administration because they can talk behind and then come back, oh yes, that's what we wanted to vote on. Let's do it. That is the snarky way of doing business with the city. That's not admirable, that's not moral, Ms. Jones.
Yes, do I have additional time? Comments? Thank you. So, to be very clear, the motion is for the city manager to work cooperatively with our city attorney to review and make recommendations for revisions. So nothing happens behind closed doors. It comes back to the council for its consideration and approval or not approval.
Or why don't we have an administration doing it up here in front of us? It's nothing behind closed doors.
Okay, point of order, she's speaking.
Right?
Okay, morning.
Both of them can talk in front of us.
Mayor, I believe I still have the floor.
Yes.
Thank you. So, so this is the normal course of business. I can certainly write a policy and procedures manual. I have before, but that's not the way that it's appropriate for it to be done here in this setting or really any legislative body. Thank you.
I would challenge you to actually write that policy, since you have the experience. Bring it forth, and then we'll talk about it.
I don't wish to.
Experience.
I don't wish to. It's not within my role and responsibility here on this council.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Fox. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion carried with Councilmember Gomez voting no.
Now we move on to public comments. And I do have some cards. Netta White is the first one, and after Netta is Lady Martin.
Hello, Miss Netta.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here just to talk, I'd like for the city of Victorville to help us out. I'm at the senior center in Victorville, and I work there as I do arts and crafts for the seniors. It's so many seniors that would like to come out and we have so many activities for them there, but they don't have any transportation. We don't have anywhere to put stuff that people are giving us to make the project just overflow. We have games, we have arts and craft, we have dancing, we have exercise, and whether you know it or not, I've come into since I've been checking this out, I have come into so many seniors that are latchkey seniors. Their family works and leave them at home, and all they have to do, they watch television 24/7. I've had so many people say they would love to go to a senior center, seniors. I thought this would be our golden years. I'm 81 years old. And I thought this would be our golden years, but it's so many seniors are out there. They're just begging for help. So I'm just trying my best to help wherever I can. And I figure out, well, since I'm working with Victorville here, maybe we can just blow them out all around us and everybody else will just pick up and start helping seniors out, taking them. I go way out of my way sometimes just to pick up one or two people so they can have a nice day. I've had so many people crying, wanting to do it. So I would just like to, we need one of those great big metal bins to put stuff in. We don't have that. We don't have a way to bring the seniors there so they can enjoy life.
You have 30 seconds.
And so we just, I'm just asking for help. I'm willing to help anywhere to help the seniors. So if you guys don't mind, just think about it. All right, thank you. Everybody have a nice evening, and God bless.
Thank you. You too. Maggie Martin. After Maggie, Donna Granger.
Starting my 3 minutes. Okay, once again, good evening, Your Honor and Council. I would like to redirect this Council's attention to an item of my past grave concern. Back on August 9th of 2018, Councilmember Blanca Gomez and the property owner of 16667 Hughes Road in Victorville came into the Victorville City Hall Code Enforcement Desk. They spoke with George Duran. The property owner was speaking in Spanish, yet per code enforcement contacts and notations on record at the residence, the property owner was capable of speaking reasonably well in English. During this encounter, the property owner, through translation by Councilmember Gomez, stated again that his property is not a rental and he collects no rent there. And initially, with persuasion from Ms. Gomez, parentheses, suborning perjury, a felony, he, the property owner, signed an affidavit to that effect under penalty of perjury, a felony. August 31st, 2018, I obtained public records from the San Bernardino Superior Court wherein Ms. Gomez claims residency at the Hughes Road address from July 2016 to present. On September 8th, 2015, again per court documents, specifically her declaration of the Uniform Child Custody Declaration, Ms. Gomez states again under penalty of perjury, a felony, that she pays $500 rent at the Hughes Road address. On July 12th, 2018, again per court documents, and Ms. Gomez signing under penalty of perjury, a felony, Ms. Gomez submitted to the court an income and expense declaration, same as above, stating that she pays $500 rent at the Hughes Road address. Additionally, under item 12, number 12, Ms. Gomez claimed that all three of her children lived with her at the Hughes Road address, when in fact, all three of her children were living with her ex-spouse, Mr. Jose Garcia, 2015. I personally and independently verified these facts separately without a foreknowledge by either Mr. Garcia or Mr. Ramirez that this fact is indeed true. I cannot speak to the real motives behind Ms. Gomez's lies to the court, but any reasonably prudent-minded individual would concur with me that the purpose was to unlawfully obtain child support and possibly benefits from the San Bernardino County welfare system. I will be more than willing to testify to the truthfulness of these statements as they can be verified by court records. I'm really angry because this council...
You have 30 seconds.
Angry because this prior council, Ms. Jones and Mr. Ramirez, allowed her to stand in your city hall, my city hall, and have this landlord sign a declaration under penalty of perjury saying no rent is collected there. It's right there in the courthouse records. As you know, I brought over documents for 3 of the council this evening, copies of letters that I had sent to the grand jury. So, sorry. Thank you.
I'm ready because I know it's late. First of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Donna Granger, and I have a small business in Old Town Victorville.
And I want to thank you guys for getting rid of stopping the dropping off of criminals and convicts into Old Town Victorville. That was a big accomplishment, and it has made a big difference in Old Town, not having the convicts dropped off there 5 times a day. They were being dropped off. Now they're not, so it's made a big difference. But now I have another problem down there in Victorville that you guys have forgotten about Old Town, but I know the mantra is not in my backyard. Nobody wants a homeless shelter. It's fighting in San Francisco. Every major city is fighting over homeless shelters now. And it's been proven that it really doesn't make that much difference in the quality of life. I don't have a problem with homeless shelters. San Bernardino County has a 13.5% of their population is homeless. That's a lot of people. I know that we have to do something about the homeless. However, how can we revitalize our Old Town if all we're doing is promoting homelessness in Old Town? Across from my business right now, the largest draw in Old Town is feeding the homeless and providing clothes to the homeless. If you drive through Old Town, what do you see? All of you have to go through it. What do you see in Old Town? Do you see businesses popping up? Or do you see people in line waiting to get clothes or food in Old Town? It's a big business. The Victorville Rescue makes, they bring in $26 million a year. And FamSpot brings in 3.5, and I'm sure they do a lot of good, and I really think we need them. But we don't need them in Old Town, where if we're trying to do what the planning department is trying to do by revitalizing Old Town, by bringing in businesses and bringing in people to live downtown, it's not going to happen. We've got a FamSpot next to us, a catty corner from us, and they have a faucet outside that they allow homeless to take showers. That means that people are taking their pants down and washing their genitals on a city street. My customers are seeing that as they come in the door. They're seeing people with their pants down washing themselves. It's disgusting. So I've been to them and I've tried to talk to them, and they told me that that's their business, homelessness. So anyway, I'd just like to ask you, what's our solution here? How can we revitalize downtown? What's our solution? I'm willing to understand that we need to help the homeless, but how many obstacles can we overcome? There's a new business that opened next to me. 2 young guys from Victorville in their 20s opening a vintage store. Isn't that what we want? How many obstacles are we going to put in their place? These are 2 young men from our city. So I'm looking for some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Gay?
Okay, these guys need to stop the bullying. You don't cooperate. A lot of people don't come up with factual evidence, factual things, okay? It's all through history, okay? I studied a lot of the people that they were quacks, wanted to be burned at the stake or threatened to be burned at the stake, come up with these crazy ideas, they were crazy, real crazy. And nobody gave him a chance. People who were leaders just squashed him, ignored him, laughed at him, threw him out of town. Those people's names are Alexander Graham Bell, Einstein, Edison, Franklin, and just for fun, Blanca Gomez. She has some great ideas, and they've been squashed by you, Gloria. You don't like it, you hate her. She has some great ideas. And every single one you trash. What's with that? You feel good? You feel empowered? You like to tangle with her? You tangled with me. It didn't work out very well for you. Did you pay your $18,000 yet? This is really sad. And just because people you don't think that they have the right fact, they may. If you go to the patent's office, they have a sign that says, we will listen to everyone who has even the craziest, wildest idea, just like as Alexander Graham Bell walked through the door. So why are you so closed-minded? When you had the pot people in here, I squashed that for you because they didn't have any facts. Yeah, they could heal this and heal that. I said, come on, I'll take you down to the City of Hope. We'll go wipe out a hospital. All those patients want to be cured. Crazy. But anyway, I listened to them. Maybe they have something. But I asked them to show me. But none of them would. I asked them to come to the hospital. None of them would. Okay? But you sit there and listen to this stuff. It doesn't work. It works with cancer, to keep food down, and glaucoma. That's it. Okay, if anybody has something, show me. I'll make you a billionaire. It doesn't work. But when people come with facts, you need to listen and be open. And even though I studied it for all my life, if something changes and there's some hope, I'll move for it.
Your time is up.
But you need to stop bullying.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Yeah.
You're a wonderful person.
Point
Thank
of
you.
order, you don't need to be that condescending. You're the chair.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Excuse me? Gloria? You don't want to mess with me.
Here we go. Correct.
You don't need to respond back. You do
Okay,
it
now
first.
we continue
Mr. Attorney, you may want to have a talk with Gloria here.
Item E2, report from city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I have a few announcements for you, some upcoming activities. First, the entire month of May is Friends of the Library movie rental sale. We actually rent movies at the Victorville Library, and the promotion is $3 for 3 movie rentals. Rent any 2, get a third free, basically. And so that's through the entire month of May. Exciting, on Memorial Day, Monday, May 27th, that's the official opening day for our pool located at the Doris Davies Park. We're actually taking registration for swim lessons. We have 2 different dates, one for residents, one for non-residents. Resident date for sign up for swim lessons is May 29th, and then we do it for the larger public outside the city on May 20th. We're doing another Stop the Bleed class on Tuesday, May 14th, here at City Hall from the hours of 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then we're continuing with Friends of the Library book sale Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Also at the Victorville Library. That's bring a bag and buy some books for $5. All the proceeds go to the Friends of the Victorville Library. As far as development activity, new construction activity, probably seen on Bear Valley Road, just west of Dunier Plaza. That's a car wash, speed wash 3. We're in the inspection process of that construction project. We're also continuing with inspections at Cardenas. That's the old Ralph's building on Palmdale Road and Elevado. And then I think you probably see the most notable work on the Mojave Riverwalk. You've got the path pretty much carved out and constructed. Work within the regional park component is complete, and we're looking forward to completion of that fairly soon. So we'll keep you posted on that. A number of other construction projects, but those are probably the most notable. Straight down, I will talk to you about Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, we're actually in plan review. Looks like they're expanding to add a new filling room. So that's some new expansion opportunity occurring over at SCLA. That's all I have.
Thank you. Now we move on to E3. Request from council members and discussion and possible action regarding items for the upcoming city council agenda, and this is a 3-minute time limit.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to put on the next agenda, a study as to the performance and the services of our city library, and to also make a comparison with the surrounding cities, because I think that as an educational agent, it should be able to offer to students and to others who are in need of information, that they would be able to offer not only books but computer use and so forth. So I would like to put the library as the item for the next session. And I move to put the discussion of the Victorville City Library.
This is already something in the works that we've already approved, but if you want to make it for the next meeting, there's no issue. It's already, administration knows we're going to discuss library concerns, but if her motion is, let's have it next meeting, I don't have an issue, I don't see the problem.
There's a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez, seconded by Councilmember Gomez. Any further comment?
Yes, so knowing that this is already something in the works, is it reasonable that it can be brought back at the next meeting in 2 weeks?
I believe for discussion, certainly, and we can, if we have data available, just given some of the standard metrics that we have, we'll include that as well.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez, seconded by Councilmember Gomez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
No, I don't.
Yeah, to add to the agenda, the age-friendly plan to the city system for the next general council meeting.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the request.
Veronica, will you please repeat? To add to the agenda, the age-friendly plan to the city's plan system for the next council meeting.
I'm so sorry, I still didn't understand.
I know, I have 3 minutes, and every time you ask me to repeat,
No,
this
we're
is an
not.
issue.
No, I didn't.
No, there's nothing nefarious here, don't worry.
I
There's
just-
nothing nefarious. I'm just trying to, I didn't understand your first few words.
So, I would like to add to the agenda, the age-friendly plan to the city's plan system for the next general council meeting. It's been shot down before, it's nothing new. This woman is willing to advocate, and I'm willing to put my head back on there.
I guess I don't know what an age-friendly plan is, so.
She expressed it, I know her concern, she always has an ordinance right now, and I know she's advocating, and that's exactly what I try to bring to the table. But anyways, I already motioned it, there's no second. The second one is I'd like to address the homeless issue, particularly in Old Town, by having a discussion that's agendized for the next council meeting. And that's the concern of the gentleman and the lady that wanted to specifically look at homelessness and what's happening in the city of Victorville, and we can have a discussion. And that's my motion.
Is there a second? There being a second, the motion dies.
The third one is to agendize the automation of concerns brought to this public forum by the city manager by making contact with a stakeholder or the resident immediately while that person is here. What that means, or what it looks like, is these two individuals that came up here, they're not gonna have contact. And my concern is, they don't need to wait for me or for anybody or for you guys to decide to make contact. They should have automatic contact. How can we help you? That's the initial transparency state of trust. That's the motion that I made, and that's what it looks like.
Is there a second? There being no second, the motion dies.
And the last one is the repayment of the taxpayer dollars from the general fund by the appointed mayor to restore the trust, peace, and tranquility of our residents and the financial budget. $18,000 out of your pocket. I think we need to reimburse ourselves because that's our money.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, the mayor was defended by the city attorney who benefited from that. She benefited, but the taxpayers didn't benefit. They can't borrow him, we pay for their concerns. I think she needs to repay the $18,000 back.
Is there a second? There being no second, the motion dies.
Yes. The city council has a policy for anyone who comes to the microphone and they make a request that it's answered, and that because we have the cards, we will contact them later.
There's a point of order. You're out of order by stating that. That's what Ms. Jones told me, so I'm going to refer and say that you're out of order by doing that. We're in an agenda item where you add. If you want to add that, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
We don't need to add it because it's already been approved by the city council. I'm trying to clarify the record, and therefore you can be assured that both individuals will be contacted by staff. In regard to the homeless solution task force, I'll give you a copy of this because there's a lot being done, and you probably need to know how far along the city is.
Again, you decontextualized the E1 item. These items are not a part. Yes, I am, because that's what I was told that happens. So unless he wants to add those items, we need to vote on it. He can't just have a discussion. That's out of policy. Okay, and so will you.
That was not a discussion, that was just some points of clarification, which I think
That's
absolutely.
an item. You can't. That's what I was told. You can't defend who you choose to
So I think
defend.
we should get now on to item E4.
Okay, we move on to item E4.
No, it's just
Yes,
a lot
now you can
clarifying.
continue. Thank you, Gloria.
Just, Jesus, why don't you try to get along? We want these individuals to know that they're not just whistling in the wind, but we will get back to them with concern. And those items will be addressed, staff members will be getting back to you. Appreciate your comments.
Anyone have any reports? I do, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to do this quickly because it's been 3 weeks since we last met. So, since our last meeting, I've attended 2 VWRA meetings, an SBCTA meeting in which I sat in Councilmember Cox's stead. I attended the Sterling Commons Retirement Center Classic Car Show. It was great to bring smiles to the elderly as they reminisced about days gone by. I participated on a judging panel at University Prep on senior presentations. The students were impressive and showed insight into everything from the negative impacts of social media on our lives to pollution to vaccines. And congratulations, by the way, to Leslie Arroyo. There's a write-up about her in the Daily Press today. She got 18 scholarships to Ivy League schools, which is quite amazing. So thank you to Cindy Miranda for the invitation to judge. I attended the City Council Annual Conference, the Victorville Spring Festival and Egg Hunt. That was great, and our law enforcement and fire department showed up in a show of support for our community. And I had the distinct pleasure of visiting the Victorville Senior Citizens Club and was delighted to meet several people very committed to coming alongside our seniors. And Netta, what a joy she is, and since she already revealed her age, I'm going to do it again. She's 81, and I would like to be like her when I grow up. Happy Mother's Day this Sunday to all of our moms. And going back a little bit, April, as we all know, is Autism Awareness Month. And I just wanted to give a shout out to our Deputy Forsberg, who did a wonderful thing for a boy with autism and will forever change his life because she stepped out to do something marvelous for him. And last but not least, I'm long overdue on this, but April 2nd, a few council meetings ago, was my 36th wedding anniversary to the love of my life, Mr. Gene Jones. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I was able to attend Lake Arrowhead and Palm Desert, being that, number one, let me say I am your representative for all the cities in the high desert. And so it was a very informative meeting in both cases. And I hope that I will represent you well. And let me say that the future looks very positive. However, they said that in terms of the economics, 40% says good, 40% says bad, and 20% they say they have no idea what's going to happen in the future. So all I can say is I'll go with the 40% good, okay? And I believe that the city of Victorville is being guided and led in the right direction. We hope that we will be so progressive that we will be the leaders in the high desert. But I'm very proud to represent the city as well as the high desert, and thank you so much.
as follows. So I too am your representative. The majority decided that the expenses that were appropriated for me to attend needed to be demolished. In other words, I was the only one that wasn't able to attend, but council member Mayor Pro Temp is bragging about, well, I got to and I represent you, ha ha ha. Well, all of them did with my exception because they said that I wasn't deemed possible to attend, and I represent you. So I want you to remember that. When someone says they represent you, remember, what are they doing when they're taking away money that I could have attended as well to get better representation? This was a county issue that we all attended, or should have attended, but I didn't because of that money issues, right? The age-friendly plans, I've already asked for that. None of these people gave a second, and it's not because I came up with it, believe me. I hear concerns such as yours, Neda. So when someone said, oh, hi, Neda, I want you to call that person out and say, what about that age-friendly? I'm suffering, I'm in my golden age years. I'm 81. 2 of these women here are over the age of 85. We should be thinking about the golden agers. I haven't reached that, but I'm concerned about that. As the business owners ask for this assistance, remember, what are we doing to really listen to your concerns? Just come and vent here? Had Cox not decided to say, you too will get administration would not have contacted you. And administration, when the CEO has said this clearly to all of us, I do not obey one council member. It's the majority. Right now, one council member, Cox, has made a direction for the city to attend both of you. That would be acquiesced. That shouldn't be wrong. But it's wrong when we take direction from one council member versus the majority of the whole. That's when I take issue, and it's not taken out of proportion. Remember, I will always reveal the things that are happening behind here, and that's so important to continue to reveal. Everybody's gone, most, except staff who gets paid, and the very few interested individuals who probably are aware of what we're doing here. I appreciate your time. Muchas gracias porque se pasan el tiempo de estar aquí. Seguimos, y no le hace lo que esté pasando. Tienen una voz de pérdida. Tenemos 5, pero ojalá las 5 sean un equipo más grande, poderoso para representarte a ti. No solamente a la pequeña corporación o la pequeña interés que tiene uno dentro de sí. His time's up.
Magnificent.
Well, I'm glad yours is in, Gloria. Go ahead and speak.
You're a big liar.
Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Meeting adjourned.
Would you like to reconvene to the 5 o'clock
Oh, she
meeting?
just adjourned.
No, that's fine. The 5 o'clock meeting is a different meeting. 6 o'clock meeting has been.
What a horrible comment to make, Gloria. What a horrible, idiotic comment.
Check the record, the council approved it.
No, I know that. She did it wrong.
That's right, council approved it.
She's totally wrong.
Hey, how's it going?
You know what I mean. What? You know what I mean, it's just going.